Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Charlie. Oh, the funny thing about contested intellectual property is that often it doesn't stay dormant forever. In the 30s, it was unlikely that the creators of Blue Beetle or Peacemaker ever dreamed a century later that their characters would be big screen trailblazer. A decades-long joke in the comic industry was "Only Bucky Stays Dead," referring to Captain America's century-long corpse sidekick. The punchline of the joke, of course, being Bucky's resurrected as a Winter Soldier in a long-running Avengers Captain America franchise. Today, I'm Charlie Apenuts, and today we're looking at several curious properties that may or may not prove profitable for their owners if resurrected. But will they return? Take a look at Eric Alan Moore's Miracle Man. Miracle Man has an origin suspiciously similar to a now popular DC property. At 14, reclusive boy believed that an astroscientist named Dr. Bongheim discovered a formula to unlock the universe, thereby bestowed upon him the power to transform into superhero Miracle Man when he uttered the words Komoda. Wow. To further blur the lines, Miracle Man wasn't even the character's original name. Marvel Man was an ancient property from pulp days of noir fiction. Previously, in '82, the franchise was rebooted a comic anthology called Warrior, and the character was later renamed Miracle Man in '85. The kind of alluded situation led to Eclipse Imports purchasing relegated shares owned by the Skin and Leech Company, with the publisher believing they owned 2/3 of the property and Alan Moore the subsequent 1/3. Frankly ridiculous. Since a decade and a half ago, in 2009, the appellate copyright ownership of the property has been on license from the original owner, Anglo, to Marvel Comics. They occasionally reproduce portions of the antique material under the original Marvel Man pulp imprint. Would comic fans potentially see Miracle Man on the screen or in serial streaming form? Unlikely, but given the almost uncomfortable similarity to the Captain Marvel, Shazam, Black Adam franchises, would they really want to? Oh, Marvel's Ultraverse. In the 90s and early 2000s, certain comic companies went bankrupt and were forced to sell their intellectual properties, i.e. superheroes and villains, to bigger houses. Marvel and DC are undoubtedly two largest companies left standing after the comic world shakeup. Marvel and DC are very different comic universes and comic companies. Not only do they sport varying characters, but they also, as corporations, employ different philosophies. It may surprise some comic fans, and longtime connoisseurs learned that Marvel and DC share one thing in common. They both purchased entire comic universes. Here's where the similarities end, however. DC opted to reboot several long-dead comatose image characters like the Wildcats, Backlash, other leftover properties like Stormwatch and Fairchild from Gen 13, Mother One from Wetworks, and miscellaneous Youngblood properties such as Shaft. While these may or may not have been successes, see the incredibly underwhelming Wildcats reboot, DC had the foresight and grace to at least give these characters, and indeed their entire universes, a second chance. Interweaving Wildcats with Green Arrow and having Grifter go toe-to-toe with Batman may or may not have worked subjectively, but DC gave the idea room to breathe. Same can't be said for Marvel. Marvel owns an entire orphanage of superheroes from a bankrupt house once known in Malibu. Unique characters like Mighty Man, superhero hunk by day and hardworking female nurse by night, could have proven a hit. That's right, Malibu had a crime-fighting, woke transgender character back in the early 90s, and Marvel refuses to use this and other properties. Admittedly, they try to cross over characters from Marvel and Malibu, resulting in cheap knockoff versions of Amalgam Universe. Readers didn't have cool characters like Dark Claw or Super Soldier, but they rip off some Spider Prime. Perhaps if Marvel could revisit some of these forward-thinking prints of properties from Malibu that are gathering dust, they could reinvigorate their long-suffering and fatigue-inducing final phases of film and television development. Ta-da! All right, thank you so much. This has been Evil.Film.Talk. Hello, welcome to the,